Hey, happy Friday, fearless mujer. How is everyone doing? Do me a quick favor. Give StreamYard permission for you to be able to access the comments. So if you could do that, that way I can actually see if you have left a comment or not. So, hey, listen, today's Friday. I want to wish you a happy Friday. Thank you so much for being here. It's the end of the week. Like, who's excited about that, right? So, what I am doing now is I used to do Wednesday cafecito chats. What I'm doing now is I am popping in here on Fridays. So, I'm either taking a question that I've been asked during the week or something that I see a lot of women kind of asking me about. So today I wanted to really dive into the lies that we believe, right? The lies that we start to believe and we start to really question, is that true about who I am, right? So what do I mean by that? A lot of times when, and by the way, let me know if you are watching this now. Let me know if you're watching it later. Comment hashtag replay so that I know you're here. If you have any questions, I am more than happy to answer your question right here. So I'm using StreamYard today. So please go ahead and just give it access so that you can leave a comment. And when you do, I'm actually able to see it. All right. So today I want to ask you, have you ever believed something about yourself that is not necessarily true? Maybe when someone says something, you start to take that and really ask, is this true about myself? Is this true about who I am? So, what happens when we are believing lies about who we are? When we're believing lies about who we are, it makes it really difficult to actually really begin to navigate the way that we want to do things, our goals, and different things like that. Why? Because we're embracing something that someone else said. Now, why is it important to actually dive into this? Why is it important to even talk about this, right? Like, if your question is, why does this even matter? It matters to understand what it is that you're believing about yourself, why, and how to stop it. Okay. So here's what I'm going to ask you. Do you ever say things about yourself or to yourself, maybe some negative self-talk? Do you ever say some things that aren't necessarily true? Like maybe you have some negative thoughts, negative statements, negative sentences, negative things that pop into your mind, and it might be when something is happening. It might be when, you get triggered. It might be when things are just kind of a little bit chaotic, or it might be when you make a mistake, right? It might be that something didn't turn out the way that you would have hoped that it did, right? So when that happens, what is it that you say to yourself? Do you have negative thoughts that you say to yourself? Now, the reason I ask this is because this is one of the things that I get asked, and this is one of the things that people send me in the DMs, right, on Instagram, is I always say XYZ to myself. I always think that I'm not good enough. I say that I'm not good enough. I say that I'm not smart enough. I say that I'm not capable. It's like the minute I want to do something or the minute I get discouraged, all of a sudden I start speaking very negatively to myself, right? That is something that I get asked. Hey, if you're popping in, please go ahead and give access to StreamYard so I can see your comments if you have any questions for me. So, why is it important, right, to really dive into some of the negative things that we think or some of the negative things that we say? Because if your reaction is to say something, vocalize something over yourself that is negative, and you're constantly saying this over and over, what do you think is going to happen? Your brain is actually absorbing what you're saying, just like a plant absorbs water. Your brain is absorbing what you're saying. And when that happens, you're now literally kind of continuing to put those thoughts in your mind, and you're programming your mind to say that, to think that, and now you view yourself in this way. And it's really hard when there's this pattern of doing that, because what ends up happening is that that's the reaction. That's the way that you begin to view yourself. So your thoughts actually dictate, right? The way that you view yourself, the choices that you make, the goals that you choose to pursue or not to pursue. And so it's so important to actually begin identifying what are the negative thoughts that I have about myself. What is it that I believe about myself that is not necessarily true? And think about this, okay? Have you ever wanted to pursue something? Because this is something that I also get asked a lot, okay? Like I think it was a few weeks ago, I aired the goal setting episode. And I had someone reach out to me and tell me, like, man, I have a lot of goals, but I don't even know why I'm wanting to do those things. Or something that I was told was like, I have a lot of goals, but as soon as someone says something, I just start to criticize myself. And so here's why it's important to challenge these negative thoughts, because the negative thoughts will become what you speak over yourself. The negative thoughts then become lies that we begin to believe about who we are. And so once you are believing these lies, which they could be something that you have been believing about yourself for years. And it could be that someone constantly said this to you. It could be that somebody spoke this into you growing up. Maybe you were in an abusive relationship. Somewhere along the way, the negative words were picked up. And so it's important to begin to dig them up, right? I talk a lot about like when you're digging up weeds. One of the things, my husband and I have bought a house a few years ago. And for you all that are homeowners, you know that when there are weeds in your backyard and front yard, it's annoying, right? Because you got to dig them out. They will kill your grass and your plants and your flowers and whatever else you got going on. And when you try to dig up these weeds, oh my goodness, it is so hard, because one, if you don't get it at the root, it's gonna come back, right? And two, it's just really hard. You could be trying to take the weed out and then it just breaks off. So why am I even talking about that? Because that's exactly what happens when we are believing lies about who we are. That's exactly what happens when we haven't done the inner healing that we need to do, right? Once you dig into like, okay, this is a negative thing I believe. It's a lie, first of all. But once you dig into it, like, this is a negative thing that I believe. These are the negative things that I am saying about myself. Once you actually can confront it and like be real with yourself about what you're saying, because let me say this to you, it does not feel good when you are believing things about yourself that are not true. It does not feel good when you go into a cycle of negative self-talk, which, let me just say, girl, it can get vicious, right? It does not feel good when you go to that place where you start entering the cycle of negative self-talk, and before you know it, you literally have beat yourself up with your very own words. Think about when you're on YouTube and you're looking up a cooking recipe, and before you know it, somehow you ended up watching something totally random, right? Something about rabbits running and how fast they run. It happens, right? You go down the rabbit hole. So this is what happens when we have these negative thoughts. We say the negative thoughts and then we start repeating them. We think about what happened, we keep repeating that, and now we start absorbing all of the negativity that we literally put on ourselves. Now, let me say this, because I'm not here to attack you or judge you. I've been there. I've lived this. I know what I'm saying. And that's why I'm bringing it up, because I just had like 2 questions, people reaching out to me in the DMs. And then I had some other DMs related to the same thing. So when I know that people are asking me something similar and I see a theme, I know that I need to talk about that. Okay. Now, you may have seen someone who did this, negative self talk, right? You may have seen maybe your mom or dad or somebody reacting this way. And so sometimes when we're growing up, we are being conditioned. We don't even realize that the adults in our lives are projecting their own emotions and thoughts and fears and limitations and beliefs onto us, right? So when you are doing this negative self talk, how far do you think you're going to be able to get when it comes to your goals and dreams if your reaction is to begin the negative self-talk, right? And let me just say, it could be that you're not doing it on purpose. But if you are aware that you have these negative thoughts and you do the negative self talk, then it's time to really confront that and begin to do the work so that it doesn't happen anymore. So that instead of the negative self talk, you're actually affirming yourself and loving on yourself and being kind to yourself. I don't know about you, but I grew up in dysfunction. I've been through a lot of trauma. I grew up, mental, emotional, physical abuse, a lot of stuff that happens. And when you grow up a certain way, or when things happen, maybe it's not that you grew up a certain way, maybe it's just relationships that you were in, maybe toxic people that you were around. When that happens, you now have this perception of yourself, and sometimes it's hard to be kind to yourself. So, when you're doing negative self talk, do you think that you're being kind to yourself? Right? It's important that you understand that you can take this and you can switch it around and now begin to affirm yourself, love on yourself, and be kind to yourself. How do you stop the lies from replaying in your mind, right? Because lies come from negative self talk, lies come from thoughts you believe about yourself. So, obviously, this is life coaching, this is for everyone. It's kind of hard to help with one area when, right, I don't really know what's going on. So I'm going to give you one practical that you can take with you, that you can begin implementing into your days, and you can see the difference. Okay. And I want to say this too, because we don't always tell people that, we are beating ourselves up with our words, basically. And I want you to know that this is a safe space. This is a community. Girl, if you're struggling with that, it's okay. Please know that you're safe here. I want you to know that. And how do you begin to challenge this? Exactly. You have to challenge these thoughts. That's exactly what it is. When you are telling yourself, I'm not good enough, right? That girl's smarter than me. This is what negative self-talk does too. The lies that we believe, it really brings us to a place of comparison. And once you're in that cycle of comparison, wow, it's really hard to get out of it. And if growing up, you're one of your tias or your mom or dad was like, look at your prima so and so, look at what they've done, like, and they compared you, then you would think it's normal to compare yourself. You would think it's okay, but it's not, right? Because you are unique, you have gifts and talents. So here's the thing. When something pops into your mind, or already, that there's something that you constantly say to yourself, the best thing you can do is actually grab that thought, whatever it is. Maybe it's like, I'm just not good enough, I'm not that smart, whatever the thought is. Grab the thought and just look at it. Write it down. There's something powerful about writing it down. Write it down. And ask yourself, is this really true? Is it true that I'm not good enough? right? And if you're like, yeah, I really am not, I'm not good enough, I'm not good at anything, you have to really dig in. Take some of your strengths, take some of your gifts. What are some of the accomplishments that you've had, recently, no matter how big or how small they are? Take them and now challenge them against the negative thought. When you begin to affirm yourself based on the truth of who you really are, it really sets the tone for how you begin to view yourself, the things that you begin to pursue. And if you complete the projects that you're pursuing, the goals that you want to pursue. So I want to encourage you today, okay? If you are believing things or you know that you've been believing thoughts about yourself, lies, because they're lies. And I can go much deeper into that, right? Again, it's challenging when you are giving general coaching. So if you have a question, please drop it in the comments. I will answer it for you. I am going to let you know that I have one more scholarship at 50% off for Fearless Mujer one-on-one coaching. So if you're interested and you are ready to dive into your inner healing, your boundaries, your goals, if you're ready to do that so you can empower yourself and grow in confidence, right? Because think about it. When we are not really fully seeing ourselves for who we are, it's hard to confidently step into our true potential. It's hard to start projects and not finish them. It's hard to actually stay on track with our goals because these lies can be lies that you've had and you've carried for years and years. So it's important to do the inner work. It's important to take the lie and be like, hold on a second. I'm not going to agree to this. I don't have to agree that that's true about who I am. So the best thing you can do for yourself, right, is not agree with negative things that were spoken over you. Like, do you ever, I don't know, make a mistake? Do you ever do something pops into your mind like, man, my mom was right about whatever it was. My tia was right about whatever it was, right? Are you saying that to yourself? So here's what I'm going to leave you with. Write down 3 to 5 things that are negative, 3 to 5 things that you say to yourself that you believe about yourself. And then I want you to write 3 to 5 things that are true about you, your strengths, your gifts, positive things, things that maybe like when you were at work, you did a presentation and someone said, wow, your presentation was amazing. I like how you implemented whatever it was, right? And that's just an example. So on the days when, let's say you're at work and you're not feeling good enough, you can actually take that and say, wait a minute, I actually am really good at that. Now you can challenge those negative thoughts. So I hope that blessed you today. Again, if you have any questions, comments, drop it in the comments. I'll come back in and I will answer. Wishing you a happy weekend. I hope that you have a great day and I will talk to you later. God bless you.